Hello, everybody. Well, like I said, I have the big man right here.
Oh, but not that big.
Not size-wise, but we got the head honcho. This man right here, this is the man that I've been telling you guys about. He's the one that's been here for quite some time. I'm actually his pupil. I'm learning. I'm his student. I want to learn more of him, of what he offered back, how many years?
Well, talking about in the 70s,
In the 70s.
late 70s, early 80s.
And you were already here at this airport.
Yeah, it all started with my father-in-law, my brother-in-law, my mother-in-law. I had a vision of doing local pickups and deliveries, and of course, NAFTA came into effect, and that was the beginning stages. And like the old saying says, you're at the right place at the right time. Things started to take off. You have to remember, NAFTA was creating the manufacturers in Mexico. So there was a transition of moving freight from one point to another, and that's what happened. So at one given state, I think it was late in the 80s, 85, I think no, 89, there was a massive delays in product coming in and out. So what had to happen was a massive airlift, something that is still in the history books of General Motors back then. That was our number one customer. And we did over 780 charters in 90 days. So you can
How many?
780 charters in 90 days.
In 90 days, guys. Did you catch that? This is why I'm talking to this man right now.
So 90 days, we had an average of 37 charters a day, roughly. Monday to Sunday, Sunday to Monday, 24/7. And that's how massive it was. It employed so many American aircrafts. I guess anybody that there was back then that are no longer here enjoyed the fruits of that labor, because you were talking from 727, DC-8s, Metros, and Falcons. All of those planes were like new to me because I didn't know what they were, But,
Excuse me, Mr. Castro. And they're new to me as well. These numbers that he's mentioning, I don't know. I'm still learning.
Yeah.
That's why I'm talking to him, and I want him to teach me the ropes of this industry.
Yeah. Back then, it was very limited because we didn't have the infrastructure what a major airport would have. As far as, we were doing the ad hoc charters, the on-demand, charters, the charters that you had to emphasize, break down, you had to repackage, you had to do all of those little things to accommodate the aircraft for the right size of the freight, from engines to body chassis to automobile chassis, you name it. If I could keep a part that I did for all these charters, I could have built my own car. But the idea was that that's how it was, from spark plugs to body parts, from sampling to engines to you name it, tires. That was something. Have you ever loaded an aircraft with 1,000 tires?
Wow.
It was a lot of intense manual labor. Loading. Have you ever seen these chassis that are going on the railroad?
Yes, sir.
The black ones?
Yes, sir. Yes,
Well,
sir.
We had to load 28 of those into an aircraft.
20 of those chassis into that. What kind of plane was this?
It was, I think that I remember, it was a Baby 8, DC-8. It was, a matter of fact, it was for Chrysler. And it was, it's like you take the mount and then you had to hand carry them and then into the aircraft, secure them properly, and then at the same time be able to load them as much as you can. We were able to get 28 of those chassis in there.
Just imagine 28. That's 28 vehicles. That's 28 vehicles of not shutting down a plant.
Yeah.
And he did quite a few of those chargers, guys. Just imagine that right there in itself. How much a shutdown of a plant would affect the customer, the provider.
It runs in the millions. Sometimes you have an aircraft charter that might cost you 80,000 or 100,000. Guess what? That's a drop in the bucket of what it costs you to a factory line shuts down has ripple effects. It could be, a million a day, a million, maybe more than that.
Wow.
Because you have all that personnel, and then that line will shut down another line and another line because the car ain't gonna be assembled, so it's in a hole. So a lot of that, has changed nowadays. So they build cars that they feel that they're gonna project. Back then they used to build, out of control. Why? Mass production, cheap labor in Mexico created that. But then you have the acid effect that parties, you have too much inventory, and that becomes more or less a liability for the manufacturing companies. They got too much stuff that they don't know what to do with it.
It's just sitting there.
Yeah, it's still in there. So now they only produce so many vehicles, so many parts, so many tires, so many engines, and that's what they do.
And that's why sometimes when you order these vehicles, you have to wait for them because they need to get assembled. And sometimes there's a waiting line for a certain vehicle, a certain truck, because the projection is how many vehicles they're going to sell.
Exactly. At the same time, that's why, remember the problem they had when the pandemic hit? The chips.
The chips. I used to have a GMC Denali, and I sold that vehicle because it was in great demand because nobody had them, and it was a low mileage vehicle. It was a GMC, and I sold it to Paul Watson, and they bought it right away. I made some money with it because it was in great demand because of the chip.
Yeah. The thing about it is that the further away the companies go, they go because of cheaper cost. Okay. And of course, the great demand of air charters always will be there. Why? Because you get that product on demand, like it says, right away. Can't wait.
From Mexico.
From Mexico.
And we're where?
We're in Laredo, Texas.
So we're about maybe 10 miles from Laredo?
Yeah, probably so.
Yeah, 10 miles.
Yeah.
So this is one of these ports that is the major ports for the United States.
What's the number one inland port? But it took years to get there. But guess what? It's because it's the original traditional route.
Okay.
Going from Mexico to the United States, it's always been Laredo. Now, one of the things that people don't know is that if they have a problem in El Paso, if they have a problem in Brownsville, the district court is Laredo, Texas.
Which you guys probably heard the news this past couple of days. I think 2-3 days ago, they had they shut down the airport in El Paso, no in and out.
Mm-hmm.
So we were projecting that some of this freight was going to come in through this port because they had this shutdown in El Paso.
Yeah.
Which they lifted the
sanction there.
The sanction, so it went back to normal.
Went back to normal, but there's always been a problem with, let's say, their system goes down in Mexico. It keeps going down so often, or we have weather-related issues, sometimes, and or there's strikes also. So years ago, I remember there was a strike in Long Beach, California, so they had to go to a port in Mexico.
Nogales?
No, it was no. I'm talking of Puerto Escondido, Puerto. I forget its name, but it was in the Pacific.
Okay.
And it was freight coming from, I guess, from the east. I think Japan or something. It was for Toyota.
Oh wow!
So they bypassed Long Beach and they went into Escobedo. I think that was the port. And they trucked everything to Laredo. From Laredo, we had a distribution center that we flew it all over the country.
Okay.
So sometimes just because we're in Laredo, we're at the center point of where you can come to Laredo, clear Laredo a lot faster. The airport itself sells itself because we're not like a 24/7 operation, but we can be. We don't have commercial flights. We're not restricted. I remember years ago we had a company called Rossini. They did the leaf springs out of Eagle Pass, and they were driving it all the way to San Antonio. But when they got to San Antonio, they were limited on the time the aircraft come in. They couldn't come in the morning because they were going to be interfering with the commercial airlines because they have a lot, So I went to Eagle Pass at the request of the charter company. And went and talked to the manufacturer. Laredo doesn't have restrictions. We're open 24/7. In all actuality, Laredo International Airport is really a freight hub. It should be a freight hub You know, the future would extend that we're a lot closer to South America than Miami is.
Mm-hmm.
And we have a port that also is a lot closer than Miami through Mexico. If we had the proper leadership, and I know I'm getting into the political aspect.
We have to because it affects
It
the
affects
service that we're trying to provide
it affects
or offer.
Yeah,
Yes.
and the proper leadership at this airport would be thinking about doing that. Is promoting our airport, not so much Mexico, promoting Laredo for its strategic point and what it has to offer. We offer rail, we offer how do you call it, ground freight, and we offer air. Laredo has the standing. Now, another thing is that we already have immigration in this airport.
Yes, I saw that. I just learned that today
Yeah,
that there's a Mexican and American immigration
exactly.
building
Yeah.
in the United States, which is very unheard of, right?
Well, it was pushed a couple of years ago, 5 years ago, 6 years ago, I don't recall, but it hadn't had the support of the local freight forwarders because the mentality is, no, me van a quitar mi cliente, or they're going to get into my stuff, and that's not the proper
That
thing.
they're going to get their customer and they're
Exactly.
protecting their customer as much as they can, so
Yeah.
they don't want it to get out of hand.
What they have to do is consider it that if you sell that, you already have immigration. Actually, you have Mexican customs to clear the freight. All they have to do is bring immigration to clear here, and then you could offer tourist destinations where you could clear from a secured airport going into another secure airport, and that would probably bring in the passenger service. Also, cargo, it opens up a lot of benefits from manufacturing cities that are in, let's say, in a city in Mexico, that they can promote construction there because all they have to do is have an airfield that might not have customs, but the Mexican customs, but they can fly into Laredo properly and clear both sides. So that's a win-win for everybody if they know how to introduce it.
Right now that he mentions this, I recall having this conversation with Mr. Memo Castro. He's helped so many companies here, airlines that you probably know of, or charter companies come into this port through him. Can you mention some of these?
At the beginning, we used to handle Continental Airlines that just later became United. FedEx that we ran a small satellite office.
Okay.
Of course, they decided. DHL, which at one time we did some stuff for them.
Okay.
Then they opened up. SEVA Ground Control used to be Eagle Global Logistics, and
To the ones don't know that, right there.
yeah, that's right. We were able to basically open their operations. And Emery Worldwide, when they first came in, we were the first ones to bring in what was regular, let's say, pound freight like Emery does.
Mm-hmm.
When we brought them in, they decided to come with us, and then later on, UPS ended up buying them. So I think we had a hand on some of these companies that came in through our doors. So to best describe it, I think the old airport director, Mr. Flores, called us the incubator. Why? Because we allowed companies to come to Laredo to taste the water. Once they knew that they could make it, they expanded their operations. And we have the history of doing that for major companies.
You have the history.
Well, yeah. Well,
You have the history.
We have the history of doing that. And we take
He's very
pride.
humble when he speaks. We.
And it has to be a team effort. It can't be just me. I had very good employees, and I still have good employees.
Mm-hmm.
And I always look at it this way. I did something that years ago when I started, I wasn't very well welcomed because we always a very competitive city. And there was a gentleman, Mr. Fernandez, that used to run city trucking, God rest his soul, found out that I had some problems. He came to my aid, and he told me, Mijo, there's room for all of us.
Mijo means son, guys.
And he said, I'm going to help you do this, because back then the trucking was regulated. You had to have a bingo number. You had to have all the credentials.
Bingo number.
Yeah.
Wow. Those are the old terms.
The old terms.
The old terms.
You had to have that. And of course, I was stepping on somebody's toe, and they didn't like that. So, in eventuality, I know what it is to start from the bottom and get up. And then also, you got to say that you got to be humble going up and going down. Why? Because you never know. Yeah. So,
Did you guys see that
yeah,
right there?
that you got to do it. So, what he told me, he says, when you get done and when you're able, I want you to do one thing: offer the same thing that I offered to somebody else. Give them a hand, and you know what? It pays you back. You know, I've had a lot of companies that started with me that they're still here and they recognize me. As for the charter companies, I had the first one was Kitty Hawk. They're no longer around, but then I had IFL,
IFL,
Calera.
Calera.
Calera was the first company that I really got involved in. They've been with me for a long time. Ameristar. Ameristar,
Which we're still doing that.
we're still doing that.
He's sharing some of that business with me. You know, that's just why I got involved doing
Yeah.
some of that. And we have one coming up probably this Monday, right?
This Monday, God willing, if
Mhm.
nothing happens, but you know, don't want to jinx it. But
No.
if it does, it's
It
fine.
does, yes.
It's nothing anymore. But the idea is that we had people that started their operations in Laredo, and they have expanded, and we share that. You know, we've done from the largest aircraft, which is the Antonov, to the I guess the smallest aircraft, Piper. You know, we've been around for well over 47 years, and we still hope to be around a little bit longer. But the whole idea is that air charter, air services is a much needed service in the city of Laredo or any major city because it gives those companies that are here an option. When things are down, they need to get it down. They need the right people. Has the experience how to look properly, and at the same time expediting quickly. That's you know. We might be getting old. We still got a little bit of pitch.
And
I think.
when I say he still works, he still gets on the forklift, and he still loads and unloads. This man right here, and he's hands on, and I am very amazed that I'm next to him, talking to him right now. That he's giving me an opportunity to be part of his team, and he's a really hands-on gentleman, a really hands-on, also humble,
Right?
and we got Frank,
Yeah, I know Frank's the other guy.
and there's another one. He's not here right now because we didn't get him involved, but we got Mr. Frank. You see him in the videos. I posted some videos. He's a gentleman also loading and unloading the planes. He's knowledgeable like you cannot imagine. Like I'm his pupil as well. So I'm learning from him. I'm learning from Mr. Castro, Miss Castro, the family, from M&M and his employees. So I just want you to understand the magnitude of what's out here, what you guys can accomplish with this man right here. I'm not saying other people, there's other options to do, but he's been around. He knows the ins and outs for so many years. He has the experience, and he still has the heart to do this.
Yeah, I think what we do is you have to understand that Laredo is really it's about family coming together. You know,
Mhm.
Laredo has always been good to me, and like I said, all my life I've been here. You know, all my adult life I've been here, and I've heard a lot of things where they say that you come to Laredo, you drink the water, you don't go back. You know, and it's true. You know, it's the people that make things happen here. You know, yeah, you're gonna have rivalry. Yeah, you're gonna have how do you call it competition. But you know what? At the end of the day, you know, it's the people that you know. It's the people that become a part of your life, whether you hate them or you don't hate them. The idea is that to move Laredo forward, we have to come together. You know, be an asset, not be a problematic. You know, yes, I may criticize people on social media like I do.
He does,
but
but he does it for a good reason. He wants to leave a better Laredo,
the legacy.
a legacy.
that you
That's what
wanna
he's trying to
leave
do.
is that you know, you hear about all the problems that are happening all over our city,
Hmm.
all over our nation. You know.
Hmm.
One of the common factors that they leave out in all of these things is the word common sense. You know, if it's right, it's right. If it's wrong, it's wrong. You know, there's no way of, diverting
Black
from
and
it.
white, simple
Black
as
and
that.
white, you know, and that's the only way what you bring to the table. You bring to the table truth, honesty, and you bring to the table good
Integrity.
service.
Good service, yeah.
That's it. That's what defines you. You know, I can safely say that you can pick up the phone and call any of my, I guess, former companies, and they'll tell you, yeah, we're one of the best. You know, for us to last it that long, we must have done something right. You know,
And he's still here.
still
He's
here.
still here.
Hopefully, we can do so many more. Okay.
Okay. Well, this is just a little bit of what we're trying to bring to the table again. He's going to use my knowledge, my energy on this, and we want to leave a better Laredo, a better community. And this is one of the sources that I'm trying to amplify. He's an example. He's an example to our Laredo. You guys can help us keep this legacy going. The M&M Air Cargo. All I'm doing is just putting my hands here. My hands are right here, sir. Use me. That's what I'm trying to do. Amplify this. So, you know, let's get some business coming this way. If you guys can help us out with transloads, cross-docking, charters, hot shots,
Yeah.
regional, local, distribution.
Yeah. One time we were the distribution center for several companies. Cisco at one time used the
Those are the parts you told me that you didn't know you had super expensive in the building, right?
Exactly. You know? And we picked it up because one customer dropped them off, and then we grew with 28 boxes. We had like over 400 boxes, and
How much was one of those boxes worth?
oh man, I don't know. But the idea was that maybe we were naive, or I don't know. But when a gentleman walked in on one of the first air shows that was at our other location, walked in and we had like a simple room, air conditioned, I would say with 20 by 20. And he walked in and he says, because there was a way to get to the bathroom to that side. And he looks at me and he brings me a box. And he says, "You know what you have here?" And I said, computer software. I don't. That has no value because it does have a value. And that box is worth $100,000.
100,000. One box.
I was like, what?
Those years ago.
Yeah. So at that time, I said, you know what? I better call these guys up and say no. But you know what? In the 5-6 years that we had him, never lost a box. Our audits, you know, Frank, I attribute that. He kept the accountability to science, you know. So it all goes back to the people that I had. I had good, honest people, and I still do. And I think that's what happens, you know. Dependable, reliable. I can be gone, and I tell, hey, guys, I need this thing done. They do it right because they were trained right. And that means a lot.
He reads people like you cannot imagine. I met this gentleman back in October. I knocked on his door. Literally, I came in. I just met the gentleman this past October. And you can see his eye, his heart, his love for this. And I want to be part of this. I want to keep this legacy going, his name going. I want to be a hand of what he's been providing and to use me. And again, he has a lot of history here in Laredo. A lot of history. And this is something, just a little glimpse of what he's done here in Laredo. He has other stories. He's told me a couple of stories.
You'd be surprised.
Yes,
Maybe
other
in the
stories.
next segment, we'll talk about it.
Maybe we'll talk about it, but let's keep it for the next segment.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
So again, Mr. Castro, this is Mr. Castro, Guillermo Castro, Memo, aka Memo. Everybody knows him. Ask around. He's known. He's a gentleman that is known in the industry. So I'll leave you with that. Any other words you want to say, Mr. Castro?
No, just like I keep telling everybody is that you got to have hope and you got to have faith and you got to always remember that you're as good as the best job that you do because you always finish right. Never finish wrong because after a while, they'll remember you for the last wrong that you did. So we always try to minimize our failures and we try to maximize our successes. That's what we do.
You heard it from the man. Well, you guys have a almost great afternoon, evening, and we have an air show coming in this Sunday, right?
Yeah.
So we'll see if we can get Mr. Memo again in another video, okay? So we can share more stories of him.
There you go.
Thank you, Mr. Castro.
Thank you.
I appreciate you.
You got it.
Thank you, sir.
Bye.